This week on HomeKit News, the Aqara G5 Pro outdoor camera with HomeKit, Matter, Thread, Zigbee, Power over Ethernet, Color Night Vision. Welcome back everybody. Today we're looking at yet another new product from Aqara and possibly one of the most anticipated. This is the Aqara Camera Hub G5 Pro, and for this review I'm testing out the PoE version, which connects to your network using Ethernet whilst also providing power to the camera. This is the company's third PoE device, with the first being the M2 2022 model only released in China. Note that the G5 doesn't have any Wi-Fi connectivity. It's also Matter compatible, which means it'll also work with Apple Home, Samsung SmartThings, Amazon A, Google Home, and it'll even work with IFTTT if that's something you still use. When it comes to Matter, the G5 Pro acts as a Matter controller for the Aqara ecosystem, a Matter bridge for Aqara Zigbee devices, and it even contains a Thread border router. Depending on your location, the G5 comes in two separate finishes, white, which is what I have, or black. Let's have a quick look at the specs now, so pause the video if required. So the G5 offers a bit more than 2K at 2688 by 1520 pixels, a field of view of 133 degrees, and the included spotlight is rated at 3 watts at 3000 kelvins for the colour temperature. And no, this is not compatible with adaptive lighting, silly. As already mentioned, this offers both Zigbee and Thread capabilities, just like the Hub M3, which means all your existing Aqara Zigbee devices will connect to it, including buttons, motion sensors and temperature sensors. But because it's also a Matter controller and Thread border router, you can also connect third-party devices that use Matter over Thread, Matter over Wi-Fi, or even devices connected to Matter-enabled hubs like the Hue Bridge. One selling point for the G5 is full colour night vision, which we'll be testing more fully later. And in this case, my G5 offers power over Ethernet or power via USB-C if you don't have a PoE option available. You get end-to-end encryption of your data and can stream or detect motion all locally without any need for cloud access. Like all current Aqara cameras, this is also compatible with HomeKit Secure Video, which includes the G3, the E1 and the G2H Pro. As the G5 is designed for outdoor use, it offers IP65 protection against water and particles, which is a first for Aqara. And as mentioned, this offers the highest quality recording for an Aqara camera so far with a 4 megapixel camera sensor. So what do you get for your money? In the box is the G5 itself, of course, and if it's the PoE version, it'll have the Ethernet connector attached. You get a set of screws and wall plugs for fixing it to a ceiling, a basic set of instructions relating to the initial setup only, a USB-C to USB-C cable, although no power adapter is included. There's a waterproof kit, which ensures that the Ethernet cable connected to the camera's cable is protected against water. And finally, a tool for using with the G5, which I'll demonstrate later. Let's have a closer look now, and you can see the connected cable offers an Ethernet cable port for the PoE version only, I should add. If you don't have a device capable of providing power over Ethernet, you can still use the USB-C port. Like the G2H Pro camera, the G5 comes with an adjustable stand that can also be rotated. There's a speaker underneath for a siren, two-way audio or for custom audio, and the G5 offers colour night vision, which I found to be better than expected. The G5 offers a roughly 4 megapixel camera image, which is aided by a built-in floodlight. Below the camera lens is the motion sensor for triggering recordings, automations or scenes. Unlike a lot of cameras, the G5 uses a PIR motion sensor, not a pixel-based one, so light turning on or off shouldn't trigger the sensor itself. A quick hands-on with the G5 now, and I have to say it feels very well made, primarily in that it doesn't feel like there's any give at all in the areas where it's fitted together. It's quite hefty too, hence no magnetic mount used. You can see the Ethernet port here too, which is only available of course on the PoE version. I mentioned a small tool earlier, and its primary uses are to get to the back of the G5. The cover itself has a rubber seal around the edges to keep water out as well. This is where the reset button is, along with a couple of QR codes. The second use for this tool is to remove the included stand. So if you already have a suitable threaded stud in your ceiling or the eaves of your roof, you can connect the G5 to it via the threaded insert. If you do want to use the included stand to mount the G5, you just need to loosen this hidden screw. Once it's loose, you can slide the stand section off, leaving the mounting plate to be attached with the included screws that fit into the holes of the plate. You then simply reattach the camera and stand like so. Feel free to pause the video here, but just for comparison, here's the G5 along with the other 3 cameras currently available. Aside from the G2H Pro, each camera has its own unique features like pan and tilt, an IR blaster, or Wi-Fi 6. If you want to make full use of the G5, I'd suggest you install it in the Aqara app first, which I'll do next. So once turned on, the app should soon discover it for pairing. Once found, follow the on-screen instructions and scan the Aqara QR code to add it. As this model is using Ethernet, it's quite quick at connecting. Add it to a room, name it, and you're done. It should be up and running immediately after. Once it launches, it'll also ask you if you want to connect it to a Matter ecosystem, including HomeKit of course, or connect it to HomeKit with the standard HomeKit integration. As a test, I'm going to add it to Apple Home using the Matter integration first. You go through all the standard steps to do so, and it adds the G5 as a Matter bridge only, as Matter doesn't support cameras at the time of this recording. To add the camera to Apple Home, I'm going to use the HomeKit QR code. Now, even though it says camera when I'm adding it, the G5 will also offer bridge functionality. So for Apple Home users, this means I've now actually got 2 instances of the G5 hub. So if I do add Aqara Zigbee devices to it, I'm going to get duplicates. It also offers an alarm system as standard for Aqara hubs, the motion sensor, and control of the floodlight. Effectively, for HomeKit users, there's not much point in adding the G5 as Matter bridge, but for Google and Amazon users, it's more relevant. So the camera is installed and running, as you can see, and yes, that's an Aqara scarf I'm wearing as it's pretty cold here right now. If I go into the settings for the G5, you can see 3 accessories listed: the floodlight, the motion sensor, and the alarm system. I'm going to show them as separate devices or tiles and then rename them. So now you can see the alarm has its own separate tile label system, which I'll just rename. Likewise, the floodlight now has its own tile, so I'll go about renaming that too. Finally, the motion sensor appears at the top with any other sensors in that room, which are the motion sensors for the Aqara G3 and the Abode IOTA, so I'll just rename that as well. I'm just going to do an initial test in the living room, and although I live in an apartment, I will be testing it outdoors on the roof of the building. I'm going to compare this to another Ethernet capable camera and hub, the Abode IOTA shown here. Incidentally, they're both standing on top of the Roborock S8 MaxV Ultra. Well, that was a mouthful, which is my favourite smart home device right now, so do check out the video for that via the link in the corner, or indeed videos for the other devices highlighted here. Just to show you the G5 is indeed only using the Ethernet connection for power and data, you can see the USB port is not in use. I've got a cable connected as shown here, which is going to the PoE network switch I purchased especially to test out the G5. Incidentally, I've also connected it to my Aqara Panel Hub S1 Plus, so I can also view the live stream for all my other cameras, including the G5 here. I'll just go full screen so you can just about make me out. So I'll do my first test, and as mentioned, I'll compare it to the Abode IOTA camera, although it may be a little of an unfair comparison, to be honest. The IOTA does take a little time to show the live stream, but let's go full screen and you can see the image is in colour with only natural light coming from outside. You'll also notice the G5 motion sensor picked me up pretty quickly. Both cameras are limited to 1080p in Apple Home, but I'll now switch to the G5, which should give you a better image even at half the resolution it's capable of. You can already see it loads faster and gives me an overall brighter image. I'll just show you these screenshots for a quick side-by-side comparison. For a quick colour night vision test, I'll be closing the windows which have a tint on them, as well as close the Eve Motion blinds, which aren't blackout blinds but do block some light. So back to another test, and I'll open the IOTA, which you can see has now gone into night vision mode by default. And whilst the image is decent enough, you should understand this is daytime and it has switched to night vision when some cameras wouldn't. Now if I switch over to the G5, it looks as though nothing has changed, with a very clear and nicely bright image. This is also without the floodlight on the G5, so take that into account as well. Once again, here's a quick side-by-side comparison. I will be doing some outdoor tests later, but let's have a look at some of the features offered in the Aqara app. So diving into options available for the G5 in Aqara Home, and aside from the live view at the top, you get the now familiar controls directly below, which are sleep, snapshot, record, talk and pause, all of which work with the live stream. Then we have 11 options below: associated events, which amongst other things allows you to color code different types of events on the timeline for easy access. Then there's the album option, which contains recordings, screenshots and push videos or triggered recordings, as well as time-lapse recordings. There's a separate control for the floodlight that brings up a slider control once activated. There's face and vehicle recognition, both of which can only be activated once you've read and agreed to certain terms and conditions. Then there's package detection, human detection, lingerer detection, AI sound, animal or pet detection, and a new option called lens obstruction detection for when someone attempts to cover the lens. The timeline has changed a bit and now works vertically as opposed to horizontally, and is better in my opinion. Tapping on one of the colour bars takes you deeper into the timeline so you can see multiple events based on that type of detection. In case you didn't hear me the first time, I live in an apartment, so an outdoor camera isn't of massive use to me, although I do live on the top floor, so access to this roof is easy and visually quite pleasing. If I zoom in, you can see the famous Taipei 101, formerly the tallest building in the world. Here's the G5 set up temporarily for me to test in daylight and for the colour night vision test. So this first clip is me in daytime and at full resolution. This is about 2 meters away, and got some humming in the background. But other than that, it's a quite calm day. Obviously, it's overcast. So it's about 5 meters away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and at least 15 meters. Next, I'll do a quick package detection test. So I'll leave a box within view of the G5, and if we look at the timeline in Apple Home, you can see the package icon, so it definitely works as expected. Additionally, I get push notifications via Aqara Home, so all seems to be working well so far. I'm back on the roof again, and this is roughly how dark it is at night with a clear sky, and you can barely make anything out other than the lights from the building, as well as, once again, Taipei 101 in the distance. This is colour night vision footage taken from HomeKit Secure Video at 1080p. So this is about 2 meters. I'm wearing a red coat to kind of see if the colours come out very well. About 5 meters. About 2 meters away. This time I'm going to turn the floodlight on. So that's with the floodlight on. This is 5 meters away. Finally, here are a couple of screenshots to show you the difference between daylight and colour night vision. Amazingly, not a lot of difference. Onto settings now, and there are unsurprisingly a ton of options, so I'm not going to cover all of them. In camera settings, you can adjust the live feed to be shown based on how you mount the G5. You can have the camera display boxes around things that it detects for clearer identification too. Privacy mode lets you mask out portions of the image to preserve the privacy of neighbours who might come within the camera's field of view. As this camera supports RTSP, you can also preview the live stream from a dedicated device that supports this option. There's an anti-theft lock option, which stops the camera from being reset and connected to a new Aqara account. The G5 also has built-in local storage of just under 7 GB, although I hear the UK model available from the Aqara distributor offers 32 GB of internal storage. You can also attach a NAS to it, which I did myself simply enough via my iMac and an attached external SSD. This allows you to record 24/7 with recordings broken up into sections lasting a maximum of 1 minute and 2 seconds. Going back to detection settings, you get face recognition, vehicle recognition, person detection, and lingering detection for when someone might be detected loitering for a while. AI sound detection offers 2 options by default: baby crying or an alarm sound, but also offers barking or coughing, both of which could be signs of trouble that you need to be alerted about. Animal detection, package detection, both of which give you basic features, and lastly, previously mentioned, lens obstruction detection. Just as an aside, as the G5 is also a Matter controller, it allows you to add third-party Matter devices. So in this case, I was able to add my Onvis S4 Matter over Thread smart plug directly to the G5 for exposure to the Aqara ecosystem. I can also add any of Aqara's own Matter devices like these recently released Aqara Color and Color Temperature light bulbs. Finally, to the pros and cons. So the first positive does refer to the PoE model only, but if you're up for getting a camera that only requires one cable for both data and power, this should give you a really reliable and fast live stream. While there are plenty of cameras out there, including outdoor models, I think it's fair to say none can compete in terms of what is offered with the G5's capabilities with a Zigbee hub, a Matter controller, and a Threadboard router. That's hard to beat, really. I have to say the build quality is pretty damn good. It feels so solidly built, which to be fair, it should be if it's going to be used in outdoor weather, but it just feels so good. I've not had a camera with colour night vision, although I've seen it on other cameras, so I was a bit apprehensive about it, but in all honesty, I'm quite impressed by the quality, even if you do get a bit of ghosting in very low light. Aqara's ecosystem and alerts option have always been a plus for me, and with the extras the G5 offers, it just makes things even better. I don't know if any other cameras offer obstruction detection, so if not, well done, Aqara. Even though it's not an issue for me, a battery-powered option would have been welcomed by a fair amount of users, I'm sure. Although without something like a solar panel to keep it charged, going up and down a ladder every few months could be tiresome, I guess. All in all, the G5 I received has not really disappointed me at all, and the even better news is that unlike my experience with the Hub M3, which caused issues with my Thread network, there were no such problems with the G5, so I'm very relieved about that. Is the G5 Pro something you're considering, and if so, would you go for the Wi-Fi or PoE version? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you have any questions, I'll always endeavour to answer them. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like, do share, and if you haven't done so already, do subscribe. In the meantime, stay safe, and I'll leave you with some words of wisdom from Lucille Ball, who said, "The secret to staying young is to live honestly, eat slowly, and lie about your age."